can get to it. All right, so as I mentioned, my name is Kyle Dzintars. I'm a counselor at the Counseling Center, and I've been focused a lot during the pandemic on understanding what rest is. I come from a line of family members who are very hardworking, put a lot of their effort and time into work or being available to help other people with the things that they have going on. So naturally, I kind of found myself in a helping profession, being a counselor. A big part of what I've been really interested in is how to let ourselves rest and recharge in different ways, because that idea of productivity and giving support to other people, or just having to keep up with the day-to-day struggle of classwork and job and having connection, keeping up our relationships, it can be exhausting. So I've been really, really interested in being able to ground myself in what rest and relaxation is, and then making actual time for it, as difficult as that might be. You're all college students. I'm sure you can relate to that struggle. So we're going to jump in here and just talk a little bit about some of the types of rest. As a precursor to that, just in case you don't know, as a member of the Counseling Center, here's our information in case you are interested in pursuing individual counseling or joining one of our fabulous groups. I would highly recommend our groups. You can look up all the information on our website if you want to know a little bit more, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end. But I would say the quickest way to get updates on some of the events like this that we're doing is Mindful Oz on Instagram, or you can follow our peer educator account, the Oz Peer-to-Peer. Other than that, we have some non-clinical counseling services. So Let's Talk is available. It's a drop-in space where you don't need an appointment or anything like that. You can just speak with one of our counselors kind of informally, just go to them to talk about something that's going on or just to seek a little bit more support for something you're going through. I always think it's nice to have someone outside of your situation to just say what's going on. So it's a good space and doesn't take any kind of commitment. So if you're not really set on individual counseling or anything like that, I would definitely recommend our Let's Talk. And then our peer educators run something called T-Talk, which is the same thing. They're just not counselors. They're undergraduate students who are looking to offer some support. We are actually taking applications for that. So if that interests you, stick around at the end and I'm happy to answer any questions if you are interested in being a peer educator. All right. Let's talk a little bit about rest. Rest means different things for different people. And I think typically the standard of rest is I go to bed at night and I fall asleep, right? That's rest. And I think that's one way of resting. There's a lot of different ways that we can actually ground ourselves and settle and make sure that we're looking out for our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, just our general well-being. So I've incorporated some different types of rest just to get you thinking a little bit about what rest is and maybe spaces that you can pursue resting in different ways. So first off, we have physical rest. I think that's pretty clear, right? Slowing your body down. Can you put yourself at ease? Can you sit comfortably on your couch or your bed and just let yourself ground? The flip end of physical rest is also nurturance. So can you do something like yoga or massage or something like stretching or light exercise that helps to take care of your physical body, but isn't demanding or exhausting? It can be very simple ways to incorporate movement into those practices. Next up, we have mental rest. So this one's a big one for college students, right? You're constantly having to juggle maybe 4 or 5 different classes, responsibilities in this virtual world. Maybe you have to know like where all of your information is, where all your assignments are located. Maybe you have an in-person class and you have to figure out what that's like. Sometimes it's just mentally exhausting to have to juggle all of these little things in our lives to keep things organized or to keep things kind of grounded for ourselves. So mental rest is really letting yourself step away from that organization and that need to have everything under control or known, because sometimes we just can't juggle all of that all the time. We need time away from that. people sometimes seek distractions to fill that void. So maybe like reading a book can be mental rest, because it takes you somewhere else and it doesn't require a lot of demanding mental energy. Sensory rest is a really big one during the pandemic, especially. Maybe some of you have had way more screen time than you're used to. I certainly have. All of my job is through the computer at this point, which was not at all the case before. So you're exposed to so much more light and sounds, and it's just a lot of input for your body to take in. So we kind of underestimate the effects of that. I know people are talking more about Zoom fatigue recently. I think it's important to recognize, are there times where you are in darkness that you're not having to take in so much light? Even candlelight, just having candles without screens, without some of the artificial lights that we might have in our houses. Candlelight is so soft and nice and doesn't require so much harsh input into our body. The same with sounds. Listening to music or having to be on these Zoom calls all the time, having your headphones in, watching TV, all of the sounds that we get sometimes becomes a burden. What is it like to be in silence when you don't have that kind of demanding sounds? And then I will add textures to this as well, because for some people, I mean, maybe it's not comfortable to be in certain clothing or to be in certain environments, right? You do your schoolwork at a desk or something like that. It's not as comfortable as it is to be on a couch or under a blanket or wrapped up in something soft. So pay attention to those sensory input. Are they demanding? Can you make space for other things that are softer, gentler, and kinder to your body? Creative rest. This is a little bit different than it sounds. So creative rest is really, I think, helping us to understand that we are constantly in problem-solving mode, even when we're not working on a paper or trying to figure out something for school. What we're going to make for dinner, what we're going to do with our free time, how we're going to plan things in the future. A lot of this problem solving that happens is exhausting and demanding. So creative rest is just the appreciation for what is right now in this moment. There isn't the expectation for what the future looks like. It isn't reflecting on something that's happened in the past. It is just here and now. Can we enjoy just being here without having to solve anything or fix anything, just to be? Emotional rest. This is really identifying what you feel and validating that. So being there for yourself. Can you sit with just what you're feeling and not be the person who answers the "how you doing" question with "good," even if you're not feeling good? Can you accept what you're feeling and share that openly with yourself, maybe with other people? So pay attention to those kind of emotional needs. Validate what you feel. Social rest. So this is a little bit different for different people. I'm definitely more of an introvert, so I love my space and my time away from people. It's very recharging for me. Some of you might be extroverts. You seek being around people. So the difference here is, are your connections authentic? Can you truly be yourself without effort and struggle and worry with the people around you? And maybe that's different for different people, but social rest is being with those people who accept you unconditionally. They know who you are, and you don't have to work or struggle or stress. You just are, and that's okay. The flip side of that, obviously, is making space for yourself. Can you find a place to be alone? Is that really hard right now? So make time either with people or away from people as you need. And then finally, spiritual rest. So this is the connection to what love feels like, what connection and belonging feels like. It's also the connection to self-acceptance. Can we get to a place of just saying, this is who I am, and that is okay. I am always growing, I'm always progressing, and right now, this is who I am. So all of these things kind of build a sense of purpose and community. So spiritual rest is being able to tap into that, to feel like what you're doing and who you are is in that shared space of all the things that matter to you, your values, your spirituality, your connection to the greater world around you. So hopefully this kind of brings up some ideas of rest and maybe some things to keep in mind as you're preparing to rest. We'll do a little practice today to hopefully get that going, but know that there's a lot of different places you can look around to find rest. And I guess I would be curious, you can put this in the chat. Are there any of these that you feel like you need more of in your life right now? I would love to hear any of your answers. If you want to share those, that would be wonderful. But no pressure. Grab a sip. And I know for me, especially right now, I've been trying to do a little bit more physical movement, get my body moving a little bit more. So sometimes that's balancing with a little bit of rest. But I will definitely say sensory rest is the key to everything for me right now. I spend a lot of time on screens. Sometimes I just want to not be attached to my phone or a laptop. I found a lot of help in reading recently or just going for walks where I don't have to stare at anything. Sunlight feels a lot different than screens. So that's what I've been trying to focus on. Oh, and thank you for sharing. So more spiritual and mental. Yes, thank you. I appreciate hearing from you. So just some ideas there on things that we can look at and check in with ourselves about when we look for rest. I tried to take into consideration some things that I thought maybe some of you might be dealing with. So ideas for making space to rest. Take time off. I know this is a really tough time and a weird time to be a student in school. We don't have the typical spring break experience, which I think a lot of people look forward to that when you get time to rest and be away and kind of do what you need to take care of yourself. Without that, these wellness days kind of supplement to make some space for it. But just know that it is okay to take time off from school, from work, from doing work at home. It feels like it's easy to be hard on yourselves or to get down on yourselves if you're falling behind or if you're struggling to keep up with things. But sometimes we start to struggle because we're not creating space to just rest and recharge. So we have to be our own best advocate in that, because sometimes we end up in these weird situations during a pandemic when trying to make sense of all the things that are going on, that we actually need to take that time for ourselves. So can you make time to not do work and not do school? Find a safe place to be alone or to be with other people. So what does that look like? What kind of space do you require or need? For some, that's like retreating to your bedroom where you can be alone and by yourself. For some, that's finding like a common space to share with other people. If you live with people, maybe that's like the living room or the kitchen, dining room area where you can come together. Take time for stillness. So our practice today will be about stillness. What is it like to not have distractions? For some of you, that might be anxiety provoking. You're used to being busy and moving and productive and attached to a lot of different things. So slowing down maybe isn't so easy, but I think it takes some practice. Can you let go of responsibility where you can be where you are without expectations? So sometimes it's our brain kind of expecting something to be a certain way or to shape what we're doing to be a certain way. Can we let go of that responsibility to just be where we are, not trying to change anything or do anything, but just to be there? For those of you who are living on campus or near campus, going to the lake can be a great experience of that. Just watch the waves. there's nothing to do or change. You just be there with the water moving and just notice what that feels like for you. Make space for reflection and creativity. I do a lot of expressive arts myself. I find it to be incredibly therapeutic for me. So making things helps me get into a space of rest, even though it's productive. It shuts off some of the thinking and stress that I would feel otherwise. Oh yeah, the lagoon near the village is a great place. Thank you for recommending that. I think there's even some like sitting stones over there that you can just like hang out on. That's a great one. And then I would say making time to reflect. So some of you might be into journaling or writing of some kind. I would really recommend that, just to take all the stuff that you hold in your brains and put it somewhere else for a little bit. It'll make space to allow for some rest. I think if you're struggling with sleep, especially at nighttime, maybe you have some racing thoughts, it's really important to get some of those out so you don't have to hold them throughout the night. It allows you to kind of put everything somewhere else and step away from it. Let it go. You don't have to carry it. Oh, I'm glad that you're already doing journaling. That's great to hear. Yeah, it's one of my go-tos. So I'm glad you're not alone. And we'll practice this one a little bit today. So give yourself permission to stop being helpful to other people. I'm a helper, right? That's my profession and my job and like what I've always liked doing. That's how I ended up to be a counselor. But I also see the value in allowing yourself to step away from the responsibility of always being the helper, always being the support person for people. Because in some ways, that's its own job. Even if it's for friends and family, sometimes it's good to take that responsibility off, to just be you, not having to play any other roles. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you won't help them at some point. But there are times when you cannot have to be that. So can you give yourself permission to do that? And then doing something unproductive. So in the counseling world, we call this opposite action. When you are feeling like, well, I have to be productive. I have so much to do. My to-do list is crazy. Opposite action is do something that you would consider unproductive. Take a nap. Go for a walk. Sit on your couch and watch some binge-worthy show. Do something unproductive that feels okay to you and see what that's like. Oh, good. We have 2 for journaling. And yes, books. Those can be really helpful, like the prompts they come with. Yeah, especially if you're getting started, if you're stuck. That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that one. Awesome. So before we go into, because the next part of this is the practice, I would just be curious if anybody, as we're talking about this stuff, has any other recommendations for rest. What does it mean to rest for you all? What do you do to rest or recharge yourselves? And again, you can put those in the chat. If you want to unmute, you can do that as well, whatever you're comfortable with. I love that there's journaling. I love that there's books. Coloring. Oh, yes. Coloring is a great one. I think that can be a really important one. This doesn't take a ton of effort. It doesn't have to be good. You just color in. Enjoy what you're coloring. Listening to music is a great one. I love my soundtracks. Create playlists all the time for things that I'm doing, whether it's going for a walk or whether it's sitting around making art. That's a great one too. Awesome. I appreciate your ideas here. So it's an experiment. I think when you think of some of the types of rest, notice what you can do for yourself and notice if there's spaces where you can try something you haven't tried before. I think there's a lot of ways that we can look for rest, and I would highly recommend kind of looking in and allowing yourself to notice when you're feeling you need rest. Listen to your body as it tells you what it needs. So we're going to get a little practice today with that. I have a little guided meditation to promote some rest. So for this, like I said, you can set a nice atmosphere for yourself, whether that's like some essential oils or candle or cozy pillow, whatever it is for you. All I'll ask you to do is just get comfortable in your chair. If you're laying on something, find a comfortable position to be in. So I'm in my computer chair. This is where I do a lot of my work. For me, grounding myself is putting my feet on the floor. It's putting my hands kind of on my lap. So that's just sitting. Open palms is cool, but you can put them to face down as well. And then try and sit up straight. If you're laying down, I think that's a little bit easier. You kind of open your space for your lungs when you're sitting on the floor or laying on the floor or your bed. But just get cozy and notice if there's any tension or awkwardness in how you're positioned. You can adjust to get comfortable. So as you ground yourself here, you could do this one of two ways. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. I like to close my eyes for these, so you might see me open them from time to time. Or I would say find something fixed in your space to look at. So if you're laying down, maybe that's your ceiling. Maybe you're looking out your window. Maybe it's at the screen. Whatever you want, I would recommend just kind of finding something to focus on. And we're going to start with a nice deep breath in. Feel your lungs fill up, and then a slow, deep breath out. And another deep breath in. Slow breath out. We're going to do 3 more breaths. And I want you each time to imagine you're taking the air in, you're feeling your body fill up with air. And as you exhale, feel all the muscles relax in your body. Exhaling naturally starts to help us relax. So just notice where it happens in your body. So deep breath in. Feel your lungs and your belly fill up. Slow, deep breath out. Feel everything deflate. Return to normal and relax. Another deep breath in. A little bit bigger this time. And slow, deep breath out. Feeling more relaxed. Letting your body relax. Letting your jaw relax. Letting your eyes relax. Deep breath in. Last one, biggest one so far. Fill up completely with air. And then slowly let it out. Breathing out of your nose or your mouth. Slowly relaxing even more. Notice if you're holding any tension and just try and ease out of it. A lot of people hold tension in their jaws, in their shoulders. So move them around if you need to. Let them relax. Feel your shoulders move down. Feel your jaw ease. Don't hold that tension there. So we'll start internally to yourself. I want you to say, I thank myself for giving myself time to rest and settle. Show some appreciation that you've taken the time out of your day to be here to rest and relax. You care about yourself enough to make that time. Take another deep breath in. Short breath out. I want you to just pay attention to anything that you notice that's going on around you. If you can make any of those sounds, if you can hear anything that's going on, just notice your space. Maybe you hear a car passing by in the distance. Maybe you feel the warmth of the air. Maybe you notice your feet touching the ground. Just notice what's happening around you right now. We aren't anywhere else. We are right here, feeling what we're feeling. Take another deep breath in and out. And if you notice any thoughts that arise, just let them be and let them pass like moving clouds. There's nothing that you have to worry about right now. There's nothing else you need to do. You've made this time to rest and relax and let your body be at ease. So if the thoughts arise, let them go and return to your breathing, remembering that you are here now, resting. Take a nice deep breath in and out. And I want you to imagine having chosen to rest, where you would find yourself resting in this imaginary world. So look for that place to go and rest. Maybe it looks like a beach. Maybe it's with the water in the background. Maybe it looks like your room, your bed. Pick the space that helps you rest the most. And I want you to imagine what that space looks like. Notice all of the little details. Is it warm? Is it cold? Are you alone? Are you with others? Is it nighttime? Daytime? And notice anything that's going on around you in that space. Maybe you have a little cat or a dog with you. Maybe you hear the trees and the wind blowing around, the waves crashing. Notice what that place is for you. Take a nice deep breath in. Breathe in all of that place that you've chosen to rest in. Breathe in as much as you can, and then slow breath out. And while you're in this place, notice how you feel. Do your muscles feel at ease? Do you feel relaxed in your brain, in your body? Are you happy, calm, excited? Notice what it is that you feel where you are. And it's okay to feel anything that comes up during that. Take a nice deep breath in and out. And the last thing that I want you to do in this imaginary resting space, I want you to wait for a word or a phrase that arises from it. What's the reminder that you need to take with you? What's the thing that you need to be reminded of or remember when you start to get stressed out about this place? For me, that message is it's okay to rest. For you, it might be different. Maybe you need a different kind of reminder. But take whatever message it offers to you and keep that in mind as you take one more deep breath in, the biggest breath so far. Slow exhale, letting all the air out. With your word or phrase, you can come back to the space, open your eyes if you're ready. Re-arrive where we are. And if you want to share what your message was in the chat, you can. You don't have to. But I would recommend writing it down. Whatever that reminder is for you. How do you remind yourself to make time to rest or to feel the way that you feel or to relax? So whether it's in the chat or just for yourself, both are okay with me. I think it's important that we have these kind of reminders so that we can allow ourselves to enter in to rest peacefully and give ourselves permission to rest, to relax, to prioritize ourselves during all of this. So hopefully that was a nice relaxing practice for you. I think it's really important to go to these kind of places when we can. There's a ton of guided meditations and guided imageries on YouTube or online. If you are in need of rest, I highly recommend finding the ones that work for you. Sometimes you just got to find one with a good voice or a good soundtrack to let yourself kind of really get into it. So again, give yourself some props for making the time to just be here through that, to make space for rest and what that's like. So that's my final part here, is thank yourself for making that space for rest and relaxation. So now that we've talked a little bit about rest and making the space and time for it, does anybody have anything that they hope to be able to do for themselves for the rest of the day to be resting or to encourage rest and relaxation for yourselves? Anything that you want to make time for today, especially? That's a good one. So just being able to go to the water, watch a little sunset. I hope it's going to be a really nice one today, actually. We've got some nice weather around here. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think for me, I'm definitely going to commit to going for a walk and maybe sitting in a park somewhere. There's a lot of nice parks around Oswego, so I would definitely recommend Brightbeck if you haven't been there yet. It's a good place to go. Definitely. Oh yeah. There's some nice open space there. It's great. So I highly recommend it if you haven't checked that out yet. Or even Flat Rock if you're closer to the campus. It's a good place down there to watch the waves and just enjoy a nice little sunset. Awesome. Well, that's all I got for you today. I will stick around to answer any questions if you have them. I just have one more closing poll as a little check-in. I would love some feedback just about how this was for you. It's somewhat of like a little experiment. So how are you feeling right now compared to when you started? And then at the end there, rate this program just so I know if it was helpful and worth doing again in the future. I appreciate it. So after you're done with that, you can be on your way if you feel like you're done. If you have questions, I'll stick around for a little bit if you want to chat. I wish you the best regardless of whether you stick around or not. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your wellness day. Take care of yourselves. I'll stop recording here.